experience in Greece and you see things in Miami, and I don't know, what do you think about the system that Mexico has created from the earthquake, not 30 years ago, but 2 years ago?
I'm still learning about Mexico, and being here at this Arise Mexico forum is a great opportunity for me to hear and to learn more things. The interesting thing is that the problems are very similar. The issues are very similar whether you're in country X or in country Y. And the solutions also have a lot of similarities to them. Sometimes we think we're unique, we need to develop a unique solution, but really we can learn from the mistakes of others or the learning experiences of others. So I believe, and part of the purpose of Arise as an international network is to facilitate that. So, I see Mexico wanting to move in the right direction. I see Mexico obviously challenged because it has a large population. It's easier to do some of these things in a small country like Greece with, say, 12 million people than in 120 million people in Mexico. It also, the economic situation can affect, what can be done and how it can be done. But culture is at the foundation of a lot of what we talk about. And I grew up in Greece, and I would see, and later I understood, how important that was. I would see poor people, people who could not afford, but were saving a little bit every day. And with that savings, they intended to build a house, a resilient house. But they couldn't build it all at once. They had to build the foundation one year, the columns the next year, the first roof, but they wanted it to be resilient. And they would rather put their money there than put it to buy something fancier, maybe some furniture, some electronic, a car. So they made resilience a priority, even at that social level. So that comes from culture, because they saw it from their experience, from their parents, they heard about it. So the whole culture reinforced that. Now, one challenge for developing countries, and it's not just Mexico, but all over the world, fast urbanizing countries, is that there's a lot of unplanned urbanization. The government doesn't even have time to plan, and already thousands, tens of thousands of people are moving into locations, building what they can build as fast as they can, and that creates a huge vulnerability down the road. I see those situations as opportunities, let's say, to move toward resilience, because obviously those residences, unplanned residences, are either going to be destroyed at some point or are going to deteriorate, because of the poor condition. So I think the community working with government, and thinking, okay, how do we get people to move to resilient locations, land, and how do we help them afford to build a resilient house? The theme of this conference here is resilience for all. I like to add to that affordable resilience for all. In other words, let's not make risk-taking affordable. We can lower the standards and make things less expensive and it's affordable. That's not going to sustain our communities. We have to invite competition, and this is competition among companies and people who have ideas, to say, okay, this is the standard, how do we make this more affordable? Part of the solution is standardizing. If you can standardize on certain ways of doing things, unfortunately when you come to Greece, you see all the houses in all the towns look the same. Unfortunately, it's a little boring sometimes. Yes, we have some historic areas, that are preserved and so forth, but most of the new construction looks quite boring, because it's all the same. It's standardized. But in the end, that's more affordable and it's more resilient for the people at any income level.
How far away from this Greece culture that you mentioned before are the Mexican society to building resilient buildings?
Again, I don't have the personal contact with the Mexican society that I have with the Greece to be able to understand kind of what the ordinary person, let's say, who's in the bottom, let's say, 25% of the economy. What are their priorities in life? Obviously, they want health. They need, obviously, the essentials of food. They want education for their children, right? They want those things. Where do they fit, the house there? I would think that every family wants to be in a house. And if they knew the importance of a resilient house, they would want to have a resilient house. But sometimes our consumer market, let's say that we have a very, bombards us with all this marketing, buy this, buy that. Every day we're bombarded on the television, on the social media, billboards, advertisements. Sometimes we lose sight of what's important, right? Who's going to help us prioritize? To say, yes, it's more important to have a strong house, even if I don't have the best furniture to put inside in the beginning, than to have a weak shell and put nicer furniture inside, It's more important.
Sure. You write a book called Resiliencia, or Resilience in English.
Resilience, yes.
Resilience. You mentioned lessons to not developing against the resilience, right? So what are the 3 lessons that everyone should learn about to be involving with a responsible responsible building in the cities?
The business community, I think, has an interest. The first lesson is the business community will do better in a resilient city, a resilient community. Why? Because it provides predictability, continuity. The upsets of disasters are really a big problem for business, because the customers, do something else. Sometimes they move somewhere else and the business is left with not too many customers. It may cost the business itself. So business, first of all, has to appreciate how important resilience is to its success. Okay. Second, business has to see resilience not as a cost, but as an investment in the future. A lot of times we're very short-term oriented. We look at things and we say, okay, that's a cost. It's going to affect my profit this year, okay? And I can't, I have to show better profit this year. But the truth is that, 1 year is not the beginning or the end of a business, right? If you have to show a less of profit this year, but can show a continuous growth and stability for many years, your business will be a lot more valuable than showing a higher profit this year and then 2 years later you drop. So the stability that resilience provides to business is important. So think of it as an investment in the future. And the third is that the resilience doesn't end with your business fence, your property. The community as a whole is part of your resilience. Where do your employees come from? What houses do they live in? Your customers, the people who move your goods, in trucks or whatever other means, they're all part of your resilience system. So you have an interest in the system's resilience, not just your own resilience at the facility. So I think I mentioned those three things. Consider it a priority in your business, think of it as a long-term investment, and look at it as a whole system.